right. So tonight is October 22nd, 2023. I had so many thoughts earlier of a Dharma talk, and they're all gone now. But what I will share is this morning we had membership chat, like that kind of just, you know, just show up and talk type of thing. And I left there. There was a handful of us on here. And I love, first of all, like, oh, we started our day together and now we're going to end the day together. I love that. And I just loved that whole community feeling, like that it's just such a good time to just be able to talk about other things and learn about other things and laugh. And so that left me starting the whole day on just like a really just feeling up because it was like, oh, that was fun. Just chit-chatting with Sharon and Jill won and David was on there and Margaret and Eileen. Who am I missing? I don't Oh my gosh, I'm missing somebody. But it was a good morning. So I highly recommend if you can get to those to try those because I think it just gets us to know each other in a different way. Um my Dharma talk was coming after that. Like I was thinking of it after that, which had nothing to do with community, and I really liked it. And I decided when I was going to talk about that for Dharma talk, which is not coming to me now. And then I was like, "Oh, I'm definitely doing 0 point meditation tonight." So I'm going to try to kind of make meditation almost workshoppy, not where we're going to be talking in between and stuff, but that will gear me into a different way versus being in that channeled space because I really want to work on some 0 point with everyone. That came to me after the download of what the Dharma talk should be, but apparently that didn't stick. But 0 point did. Dharma talk, be a good person. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. I have no idea. I'll leave it to everyone's imagination because I don't even have anything coming up at all from my brain or soul or heart or any of it. It's all gone. But 0 point is, I'll give a little backstory for anyone who's not familiar with it. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it, but maybe you haven't like been led in a 0 point meditation. And essentially what it can do is bring you to a balanced or neutral space. And from that balanced or neutral space, you can begin to sort of set intentions and be intentional moving forward. So it's such a good technique and it's something that you can do quickly. Like we're going to do it pretty lengthy tonight, but you can do it in a nanosecond as you get the hang of the whole process so that you can find balance within. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with negativity, this is a way to balance the negativity to come to neutral, not swing to the other side. It deals with duality. So I'm going to walk you through this, but I do want to give you this kind of backstory first. When we start the exercise, basically what we're going to be doing is identifying two feelings. Like say there's a feeling you've been feeling. I don't know how this part will come through me. So that part will be channeled. But basically there'll be a feeling that you're feeling all the time. Say you're feeling really agitated all the time lately and you don't know quote unquote why. I'm just using this as an example. So you identify what's the feeling and then you come up with a word that most closely matches that feeling. Agitated, annoyed, restless, you'll kind of find the right word for yourself. And then I'll have you walk through identifying what's the opposite word. So what would the opposite of restless be? Maybe it's motivated for someone. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's calm. Maybe it's centered. Maybe it's quiet. It doesn't have to be the actual opposite, like black is to white. Does that make sense so far? So it's whatever you identify in the moment as opposite. So you can have sad and agitated. They could be opposites. And that'll make a little bit more sense as we go through, but you don't have to make it like literal opposite. It's just what feels different to you. What's the opposite feeling to you in this moment? Does that make sense so far? Yeah, go ahead, Jill.
What if the feeling you've been having is positive? Do you come up
Same,
with it?
totally same. So then you're going to do the opposite.
So if it were sad or something, you would go with the more negative feeling.
Yep. If you've been feeling great lately and it's like, I feel motivated. So what's the opposite of motivated? Unproductive. Maybe it's lazy. So we're going to identify, or maybe the opposite of motivated is, um, agitated. It doesn't have to be the actual.
Okay,
It's
got
whatever
it.
feels right to you.
Got it.
Does that
Thanks.
make sense? I'm glad you clarified that. Um, And I don't know how it's gonna play out because it could play out in a couple of different ways. So this is one to really use your imagination. You can't do it wrong, that's for sure. So if you're worried about, oh my God, what if I don't follow along? Your subconscious will get everything I'm talking about. Um, but basically, we'll be having our hands palm up on our lap or by your side, however it's comfortable to you. That's an important piece to have the palms kind of facing upward, but relaxed. And at one point, I'm going to say turn your palms in towards each other. And what I mean by that is quite literally turn your palms towards each other as if you're creating like an energy ball. So when you hear me say that, that's kind of the visual. Maybe your ball looks like this, maybe your ball looks like that. There's no right or wrong, there's no good or bad. It's just this is the motion I'm saying. Any questions? I've never done a meditation. I've never done this in Sunday night meditation, but it definitely came to me fast and furious in a download was like, you're doing 0 point tonight. And I was like, haha, anytime I have an agenda, it never happens. And then it was like, nope, but you're gonna do it like a workshop. So I was like, oh, all right, I could do that. Any questions before we begin? And if you want to like kind of check out and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this, one, I would encourage you to do it. But if you trail off to your own world, stay there. Oh, and Margaret, this is a really good one. Oh, okay. You don't feel well. Got it. Got it. Yep. Go for it. All right. You can listen back to it another time. Feel better. Um,
Deborah, I have a quick question for
yes.
you. Um, so as far as like crystals like that we get, or if we choose to get them, do you suggest using those during meditation? Because some of the ones that I was looking at was, used while meditating. Is that something?
Yeah, so with I don't know enough about crystals to feel like I could offer good advice on crystals. However, what I can say is really go into like, does it feel right for you to have that crystal? Because some people like really, really love like it amplifies them. Other people doesn't amplify them. Like they're not connected to it. Um, so it's totally up to you.
Okay.
They certainly can't ever harm or hurt you. That's for darn sure. And you might see a difference in different crystals during different meditations because each crystal property, as far as I do know, each crystal property, some have a soothing effect, some have a regenerative effect, some have a multiplying effect. So it could it can't be bad, that's for sure.
Okay.
Can
Thank
I
you.
jump in real quick with a suggestion that Deb gave me? It was a different circumstance, but I was asking about how to get in the zone on non-Sundays. And she mentioned one thing would be like if there's a crystal or something that I use during meditation, then if I hold that during the week, it helps me get there. And that totally works. So as far as something like that, it's another kind of added bonus to that idea. So if you like holding them, it does help me like during the week to get there. It just kind of takes the
Thank
vibe and brings it through the week.
Really, thank you for like putting that in there because that's really good point. Tony Robbins does a lot with body postures, even just a squeezed fist when he's doing some of his workshops where you're reprogramming your mind. He'll have you do like squeeze your fist. So anytime you're feeling anxious and you squeeze your fist, that's actually changing your biology to be like, whoop, nope, I'm not going to be anxious. I'm reprogramming it into this direction. So the same kind of format is with if you have an object that feels good to you to keep as that reminder. that external reminder. So thank you for that, Laura. But Tony Robbins does a lot around that. So, all right. I'm kind of excited about this. Oh my God, Jen, your kitty cat's cute.
Can I just say Hell has officially frozen over because I actually have a cat in my house and I like her. So I can relate to how you were with the dogs, but I'm like, yep, the cat's going over. So, just a little like side note, but back to, sorry, resume regular.
Regular programming, broadcasting, whatever. Oh my gosh. See, isn't it great when we like actually change preferences? Socks is even in here tonight. So he's calm though. We're not going to talk to him. I'm not going to even look his way. So, all right. So get yourself comfortable, as upright as is comfortable. You can turn off your lights if you want to. You don't have to, of course. And take a nice deep breath and then go ahead and close your eyes. Let your arms fall to your side with your palms facing up. Definitely place your palms to where it feels comfortable for you. You don't have to have your palms perfectly faced up parallel. Make sure comfort is priority for you. And then let's just send a wave of relaxation down through the top of our head. And imagine this calming, soothing wave of energy just goes right through our chakra system, through the third eye, through the throat, through the heart, through the solar plexus, through the sacral, and through the root chakras. And imagine any energy that no longer belongs to your body is just leaking out the bottoms of your feet or is rising like steam away from the top of your head. Notice if there's any tension in your body and breathe into that space and relax it. And relax your facial muscles, which sends a signal to relax your tongue. And relaxing your tongue sends a signal to the brain to relax or slow down your thoughts. Notice your breath and the quality of your breath. Notice the inhalation and the exhalation. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let any tension in your back or pelvis be relaxed. And imagine if you could see the energy flowing through your body. Just use your imagination and imagine energy flowing smoothly through. Maybe visualize actual meridian lines in your body. Maybe just use your imagination, but imagine there being this sense of flow from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. And if you sense any bunching or blocking of energy, just send the imagination to move through it. Don't get caught up on it or focus on it. And let all of your attention go just to this moment, this breath, this posture. And begin to use your imagination. And imagine that about 5 feet above your head, there's that universal faucet that you can turn on. And imagine this crystal white, clear, bright liquid energy just begins to flow out of that faucet. And it goes right onto the top of your head. And using your imagination, imagine your head, the crown, opens up to allow the flow of this liquid white light energy to flow into your body. And feel a soothing, either warm liquid light or cooling liquid light, whatever feels right for you. And imagine this liquid light is coating the inside of your body, filling you up like a perfect glass of water. And imagine the liquid light just overflows the glass of you. And imagine the liquid light just pouring over your skin, the front, the side, and back of your body. And imagine the liquid light just runs on the floor. Let yourself be completely bathed in this light. And imagine if you could identify or use a word to describe this liquid light for you, what it represents or what it feels like. There's no right or wrong. You could use the word light. You could use any word that comes to mind. You're getting filled with this energy. And imagine that the light is taking a pathway down one of your arms. It doesn't matter whether it's the right or left, just use your imagination. Notice what arm, the specific, this light energy that you described with your word is flowing down through your shoulder, through your biceps and triceps, flowing through your elbow, your forearm, and your wrist. And imagine in that one hand, that word, the energy of that word begins to flow out of the palm of your hand and out through all of your fingertips. And focus all of your energy and attention to the palm of that hand. Feel it maybe tingle. Imagine it tingling. Maybe it gets hot. Maybe it gets cold. Begin to allow yourself to visualize and imagine that word, that energy that's flowing through your body and specifically down that one arm. Imagine it begins to take a shape or a form in the palm of that hand. And just notice the shape. Notice if the shape has texture. Using your imagination, notice if it has a specific color. Imagine it's moving in your hand, emanating out. And again, identify this hand with the word that you use to describe that liquid white light moving through your whole body, and now specifically coming into a form in your palm. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Forget, I don't know, or I'm not sure is an answer. So let it just be. And begin to identify what is the opposite energy of that palm. And imagine the opposite energy begins to flow down through the shoulder of the other arm. And imagine that energy. You're not keeping it or holding it, so you don't have to worry about calling forth any energies that don't feel favorable. Just let it flow through the other arm, through the biceps, the triceps, through the elbow, through the forearm and the wrists. And imagine the opposite energy begins to flow out of the opposite hand. And again, imagine or visualize what's the form. If it could take a form, what does it look like? Is it heavy? Is it dense? Is it sludgy? Is it like fog? Is it slimy? Is it light? Is it feathery? There's all sorts of visualizations. Begin to imagine that energy. You can come up with a word that identifies what that energy feels like in your other hand. And if it could be a certain color, what color would it be? If it had a texture, what color or what texture is it? This is also helping you release any negativity of the mind, meaning thoughts, any toxicity of the body energetically. So imagine all that no longer serves you is flowing through that other palm, representing that word that you're choosing. So in the one hand, you have that liquid white light flowing through your arm and coming out with one shape and form and texture. And you have the opposite of that flowing through the arm, the other arm, with another shape and texture. And sort of use your hands as if they're an imaginary scales, and you can begin to feel, see which one is heavier or lighter, if there is one that's heavier or lighter. And then focus on the first hand. Notice the shape, the texture, the word you use to describe that energy. Get a sense of what that feels like in that one hand. And then shift your focus and attention to the opposite hand for the opposite word, for the opposite energy. And get a sense of the texture and the shape, if there is any. Weight of each. And bring your awareness back to the first hand, notice, and then back to the second hand and notice. And start to slowly move your hands towards each other, palms towards each other, until you can imagine that there is both energies sort of being or attempting to be pushed together between your hands. You have one energy in the one hand, the other in the other. And begin to push those energies together and see if you can come to a point where you're pushing your hands towards each other without touching. See if you can feel the resistance as those two energies meet each other like two opposite batteries or two opposing energy fields. You can squeeze and open your hands and feel the energy and the difference between the two. Sort of like you have a ball in your hands, or two balls, sort of pushing back at each other. You can, with your attention and your thought, And pull your hands back slowly away from each other to expand the ball. But both energies still exist between your hands. You can gently expand your hands and then slowly push them together a little. Feel the resistance. Expand the hands again. And push together, feeling the resistance. And recognize both energies exist in you. And using your imagination, I want you to go to the place in between your hands where neither energy exists. Neither the first or the second. Go to that still small space where neither one exists. If your mind wanders or goes to either extreme, recalibrate and feel that ball of energy in between your hands. And see if you can go to the space where neither exists. And continue to hold that ball of energy, or you can rest your palms in your lap, whatever feels most comfortable to your body. And visualize and imagine that ball of energy, both opposing energy fields, are still pushing towards each other. There is a small sliver of space where neither energy exists. And let yourself reside in between those spaces or focusing back and forth. The mind wanders, just find your breath. Remember the entire process of the universal flow flowing through you, each energy going down both arms. Feel the difference between the two hands. Imagine you're putting the energies together. Feel the resistance or the merging, and find the place where neither exists. And don't try to put any effort into this, just use your breath. And if your mind is active, just bring your attention back to your breath and back to the quiet. And as you're sitting in quiet, make a intentional yet loving or compassionate statement to yourself, as if you are parenting or nurturing yourself in this moment. Imagine yourself at the proverbial feet of the greatest master, whether that's a loved one who's passed, spiritual figure master, an archetype, an angel, saint, higher self, anything that comes to you. Imagine you are at the feet of this loving master. And imagine they're putting their hands on your head or even giving you a hug. And they're filling you with the reassurance and the love and the compassion and the patience and whatever it is you need in this moment. Imagine you're just receiving it, taking it all in, just like a baby being fed its bottle. Listen for words of encouragement. Imagine yourself getting filled with the energy of those words. Slowly imagine that figure still present with you, but becoming transparent or invisible. And bring your awareness back to your body in this moment, keeping your eyes closed, filled with nurture and love and compassion. Your body neutralized between all the opposing energies. And slowly begin, and only when you're ready, you can begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. You can begin to stretch slowly and twist. Bring gentle movement in your body. Do this only as you're ready. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come fully back into this moment. And when you're fully ready, you can turn on your lights or your cameras. And just take a moment to reflect what that was like for you. Maybe it was great, maybe it wasn't. You can give me the thumbs up, middle, or down. Thumbs up, middle, middle, up, 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 up. 2 thumbs up, up. 2 thumbs up, middle, up, up, up. Very cool. And that one's different every time. It's slightly different than typical. Tara's done this many times, so it was a little different, which shows it is channeled through me still, because it's not, a lot of times we're working on a certain issue or problems. This was just literally on an energy basis. So what I want to hear is, what were your 2 energies, the opposing energy? Well, actually, before we do that, how many of you felt something very different in each hand? It's very cool, right? Just like, how does that happen? How many of you had like, well, I want to hear from you instead of doing it like this way. So I want to hear, what were the 2 energies? Like, did you have a word for each one? What was the shape like? What did it feel like? Was one heavier? Was one, I want to hear like the texture, the color, the details, and then what it feel like to kind of put them towards each other, merge them, or have them bounce off each other. I just want to hear about your experiences. You guys know the drill. Yeah, Laura, go ahead.
I'm not going to wait around for the Bueller today.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't have it in me to say it.
First of all, I wasn't here last week. I was in the ER and everything's okay. But when I got home, I was in bed for like 5 days. And the first thing I wanted to do was to listen to the meditation from last week, which I did. And it was absolutely perfect. And it helped me so much in kind of the healing part. So I wanted to thank you all for all of that awesome gem colored healing, because it was amazing. And it's funny because I was like craving it when I got home, and it was perfect.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You, God.
But this, okay, so it was my right side first, and it was like, this is such a dumb word, but it was squishy love. And it was, white and fluffy, and the shape was kind of like almost like a hot air balloon shape, but it was moving in that kind of, I don't know, smooth, like, yeah, that mode. The other side, and I was surprised that it wasn't like negative. I was like, oh, good. This is probably the way it's supposed to be. They were dark gray squares, and it was strong and steady. But it was also going in a circle, but kind of like picture frame. So it was like the outline of a square, not solid. So they were both going. And so then we brought them together. It was really cool because the squares lined up into like almost like a ladder with the white flowing through it. So it became this like real cool, very symmetrical, flowy, solid, but yet soft thing all at the same time. And then when you had us feel the energy, I mean, that was crazy. Like, just because I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I could put my hands together if I tried. Like, it was there, and then it's expanded. It was like, okay, yeah, it's still there. So that was really cool. And then I think this was my all-time favorite one, to be honest.
Like you
and
said,
then when you had us like imagine kind of where we were in that space, I kept kind of waiting for an image of something, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I bet you I'm not supposed to have an image. I bet you I'm like exactly where I'm supposed to be. There's nothing. And so I kind of just try to sit there as long as I could. So yeah, I loved it. It was awesome. Yeah, that's all.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, that middle space is nothing. Neither opposing, and opposing doesn't even have to literally be opposing. It's just presenting as opposition, which is what all of duality is. And so, yeah, that space in between 0 point is quite literally nothing. But if you had something there, that doesn't mean you did it wrong. Just in case anyone says like, oh, shoot, I had something there. It doesn't mean you did it wrong. But 0 point is where it's a point in actual space where nothing exists, which means because nothing exists, it also means the possibility for anything and everything exists. So it's neither the void, it's both the void and possibilities at the same time. So it's the point of creation, if you will, the point before creation, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it is often presented as nothing. I'm nowhere. I have no thoughts going on. It's neither good nor bad. It's either high or low. It's just boom. Oh, it's this. So cool.
It was awesome. Thank you.
Good. I love it. This quite literally can also balance our energy field when we're feeling off, even if you're feeling like manically excitedly high and that's too uncomfortable, because sometimes being too excited feels a little off. So if you're feeling even too good, then you want to swing to the other side. See, humanity, we swing. We go from one to the other, but we don't need to. We can go from one emotion to neutrality, which is then we can have clarity to step forward and create. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, it will, the more and more. But we always want, oh, I feel sad, so I want to be happy. But that's a really big jump from sad to happy. It's not a smart one. Energetically, mentally, emotionally, physically, it's really hard to go from one to the other, but it's not as hard to go from one to neutral and then create with intention. So Sherry, go ahead.
So mine was more physical. One side was exhilaration. I had like a nonstop day, all the things, and the other side was exhausted. You probably saw me. I mean, it
Yeah.
went, and my body, when I'm exhausted, gets really cold and very achy. So at one point, I had to ask my aide to go get a heater because I thought I was going to freeze to death. I was hiding in my, and then when I opened my eyes, what do I see? Lara putting on her sweater. It was bizarre because all I could think of was wanting to, I almost didn't come. I wanted to just get under my covers with a heating pad. But so the exhilaration side was all white light. It was a ball that was like flipping out. And the other side was blue, but it was like the fuzziest blanket you could, and it was just like warm and all around me and made all my aches and pains go away because I get very achy. When I brought them together, I calmed down enough so that I don't ache as much. And so I think I'll sleep better. So this was more like a 0 point for getting to a zone of relaxation and not going to bed and hurting. And then not TMI, but when I put my big hands together, I started burping like crazy. Like I was really, I don't know what was coming out, but I almost started laughing and thinking of David. But I mean, and I'm not, so I don't know. I mean, I think my body was releasing whatever it needed to release. And like, I don't usually do that, you know,
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah.
I'm drinking tea. So it was a very good, I'll sleep better and I will use this because normally when I get so achy, I just go to bed and then I ache more and I want to take Tylenol PM and all this garbage.
Wow. So the burping is an actual thing, an energetic thing. Where was I and who was there? When I did a recent retreat, a day retreat, a woman was talking about big long story, and then she said she released something. It was a whole long story, and then she said she let out this most ridiculous, like not to be, crude, but like this most ridiculous burp, and she's like, everything left my body, like it literally left. And I was like, yes, that is not all burp. Well, maybe they are, I don't know. But there is an energy burp. So I'm not telling Greg that, but because he'll be like, it's energy, and because I can't stand when he does that. So it's it's a real thing that you did. What came up, we don't know, we don't care. It's just whatever it was, the body didn't want it and need it anymore. That's pretty cool. And how is your storytelling today?
It was great, but I get on a high. I really get on a high. and I drank a lot of coffee. And then I went to an event tonight that one of my friends was having. So I've gone nonstop till 1 minute to 8.
Oof.
And I was like, and I was sort of beating myself up about it, which wasn't good. And I was like, then all of a sudden I just get exhausted. So this was great. It was just absolutely perfect to just like calm me down before I go to bed. So I don't take, 2 Tylenol or Advil PM and be like a groggy nut tomorrow.
Yep. Awesome. That's amazing. Who else wants to share? Go ahead, Sharon. And then Jill, you're next. Jill.
Hi, everybody. I feel like we've been doing this since what, 9 o'clock this morning?
I feel like we have to. I haven't left the chair.
I know. Healing vibes to Laura. I love that Jen is a cat person now. That is so friggin' cool. Our friend, well, she's not really my friend, but I think she's my friend. Jana is now a cat person, and I've been following her forever. She's like another celebrity who I think is my friend in the Hudson Valley, but not really. And I love her, and it's hysterical. So now I see like Jen with the cat thing. That's just so super cool. But my energies, I love this tonight. I'm not traumatized because, a few weeks ago I was traumatized from that meditation. This was amazing. I don't feel like you've ever done that. Well, you haven't done this before, definitely not on Zoom, but I've done little pieces of this with you over the years. But I felt I had anger in my right and understanding in my left. I think the most amazing part for me was when you went to the nothing in between, and my nothing in between was just like this sliver of the universe that was just so friggin' amazing. It was so cool. It was really, really cool. So I wanted to share that before it all left my brain, because when everybody shares, I have like so many other tangents I go off on because everybody's shares are so friggin' amazing. So that was my stupid little thought for tonight that is off my chest.
The whole sliver of the universe. Because again, I mean, it quite literally is 0 point is that point in the universe. You could look it up, 0 point, and there will come up a lot of science-y stuff about this. This is the spiritual 0 point. It's essentially the same thing, but it's that feeling of like nothing but everything. And then you get to the next step with this whole process is, okay, now that I'm at 0 point, now I can start making conscious decisions. Which do I want to feel? And it's never bad. Do I want to feel angry, or do I want to feel, what was your other word?
Understanding.
Understanding. Do I want anger? Do I want understanding? Then we can bring the energy into conscious choice. And that's the free will of the human being, but we want to do it consciously. And we can choose anger in that moment, but it's chosen. So it's no longer a default subconscious, I'm doing this because I'm just reactive. It's more, no, I'm appropriately being angry right now about this thing, versus then later beating yourself up. Like Sherry was saying, I'm exhausted, I'm going to beat myself up. No, I don't have to do that. We're wasting a lot of energy with this. So this puts us in the point of 0 point, but also in that conscious, creative next step, if needed. Sometimes it's not even needed because you're like, you know what? I don't even care I don't need to be understanding or angry. I'm just going to be in the universe. Boom. I don't have to either.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. And we began the day together. We're going to end together. I love it. Who else? Oh, Jill, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's such a wise process because where I've ended up is so matter of fact and grounded and just simple. I love it. And I don't know. I think I did this with you in Costa Rica, but I didn't have quite the impact that I'm having now. Maybe because it was about coming home, which I didn't want to do.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, in my right hand was just surging bright light everywhere. And the little creature that crystallized was a seahorse.
Ooh.
And yeah, and it floated around and it shot surges of bright light out from its scales. And in the other hand, I had this yucky, creeping thing that turned into a piece of coal that was just yucky and sludgy and and has cold, some of it chips off and it's just black and tarry in your hand and it doesn't go away. And it's very heavy and like it felt like the essence of toxins and detoxifying.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came together, and then it was in the sliver that I just, ooh, yeah, it's really good.
Chills on that. Yeah. It's and
Mhm.
each time, like this is something that we did it. I think it was 25 minutes long process. It doesn't have to be 25 minutes. It eventually, the more you do it, it's nice to do it long, but the more you do it, it becomes an unconscious, like almost like a boom, boom.
Because you know sliver, right? You know how it feels in the sliver, so it's easier to get back to.
Exactly. So it really is a practice. And
Mhm.
and are you going to do it 100% of the time? I don't think we should ever think we're going to do anything 100% of the time because that's a perfection thing. So this is like, yeah, this is a tool to use of like, okay, I've got to identify. It could take as long as short as you like, but over practice, it doesn't have to be 25 minutes long. So yeah, it's a fun process. Go ahead, Laura.
Quick question. So if to do this, do you have tips on how to just for ourselves to kind of get there quickly?
So,
Like prompts for ourselves.
usually it will come up when you're feeling something unfavorable. I'm not all the time, but usually if you're identifying an unfavorable feeling, and so you're going to be like, I'm so frustrated and feel frustrated. Okay. So you could either choose to be frustrated or you can go, okay, I don't want to be frustrated. What's the opposite of frustrated? Ease and flow in that moment. You might do it tomorrow and your words will be totally opposite. It doesn't matter. It's just the importance is to identify the two opposing things in that moment. So, okay, frustration and ease and flow. What does that feel like? What does that feel like? What does it look like? Whew. So it really does become like a visualization technique. You don't even have to use the hands. I think it's helpful in the beginning. So you feel that ball of energy where you're like, wow, I really can't push my hands together. And sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, and it doesn't matter. It's not good or bad. It's not like, oh, look at this, I've got a big ball of energy, I must be good at this. It's just sometimes the energy is here and sometimes it's here. But you don't have to do the hands. You could just identify, whew, this energy field, that energy field, let me go between the two. You can even have two coworkers. I mean, it could show up a lot of that, like, oh, this coworker I agree with, this one I don't, let me find the middle. It doesn't even have to be internal energies. It's that point of view plus that point of view. Let me find the middle. So it really applies to anything you apply it to. Make sense? Yeah, go ahead, Tara. I'll never forget Tara's first time with this. We were on a FaceTime call.
Yep.
And I was able to visually see.
You saw it go, the light bulb go off. Yeah. Like I got it. And that's what I was going to say. I always go back to that. And you literally said everything I was going to say anyway about how it's literally like boom, boom, boom. And like it gets so much quicker every time you do it. Now, like I can just sit being like frustrated. Actually, I think that was one of my words tonight. Or no, it was overwhelmed and calm. But I can be frustrated or overwhelmed and I'll sit and when we did it, I saw like, and even tonight, I always see 0 point as like a golden light and like always here. It's so funny that you do that because I feel it like right here too. And I see it as a golden light. So it's like the second that am feeling overwhelmed or something, and I remember to do this exercise, I just breathe and I even close my eyes for a second and I see it, and it just this wave of calmness comes because nothing exists. It doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters. So yeah, it and that's how it was tonight. It was great.
Yeah, yours I'll never forget. You were in your car.
Yeah, avoiding
Yeah.
the kids.
Yep. And
Yep.
oh my God, I literally just saw it all happen. It was very cool to see. So
Yep.
yeah,
And I
it
think it
is.
was like the first time I felt like, no, that wasn't the first time I felt meditation either, but it was so powerful. So powerful. And I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. No way, no way. And like totally got it. And it's so much easier. And even tonight, like the energy of my hands just felt actually really good. Like I just needed that so bad and didn't realize how bad I needed to feel. I did a lot of feeling tonight. I didn't see a lot. I felt like I felt so much energy. It was
Mm.
great.
Ah,
Mhm.
I love it. I love this process. Yeah, Jen, go ahead. I hate you guys you don't have to feel like you have to raise your hand. Just mute and
I actually was in this one really good a lot, which was awesome because it's been a while for me. So I think just having like the exercise or something else to do kind of helped me stay more like in it. I don't know if that was like what was helpful for me, but yeah, so I didn't really have a word per se, but I definitely kind of carried on from like the dripping white light and everything, and it instantly went into my hand. And I saw like in my hand, because I also have been trained in Reiki too, so I instantly had that like surge of energy like Tara too. Like I felt a lot of energy like pouring out of both hands, and until you said the other hand had to be something different. So but initially I almost had like a purple diamond kind of like manifest like in my hands, the good hands, I guess. And then like Jill said, in the other hand, I had coal as well. So it was like the two opposite things. So when she said coal, that's exactly what I had. And it was just kind of making my hands all black. And it was the same concept of like, that's all the toxic stuff, the toxic thoughts, the toxic just things that maybe are in your body, and then the other hand was more of like the healing part of things. Like to me, that was more of like the Reiki, like healing energy coming out of that hand. And at one point I was just kind of had both my hands out, and I felt like almost like a slinky, when you're playing with a slinky and it's going back and forth. That's what I sort of literally felt like. I had my hands not really close to each other before we moved them, and I was just sitting here with both the coal bouncing back and forth and like the two things just do, 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 do. Then we brought it together, and I did envision myself inside of like a bubble underneath this kind of like thing of energy going back and forth, and I was just like observing it, you know and there was, when like two bubbles are connected and there's like that thin line of like bubble stuff, like that's kind of separating. That was what I was imagining down the center too. So like that was kind of not that the bubble that I was in split, but like when we got to that point, like I just kind of envisioned my whole body, kind of some of it being in this side of it and some of it being in the other side of it.
yes,
It
amazing.
was very cool. Yes, I needed that. So
I'm so glad. I'm
yes,
so
right,
glad.
finally. Maybe it's the beginning of my mojo coming back.
That's right. For sure. Oh my God. I love this. See, I'm so glad like tonight was like, no, you're doing 0 point. I'm in workshop mode. I'm not in meditation
No, it
mode.
was really cool to like feel like it, like playing with a slinky. Like that's what it felt like to me, and I can like bounce it back and forth.
Yes, I think I usually use that phrase. I didn't tonight at all.
Okay,
I
yeah.
didn't say slinky it, but that's exactly what it can feel like.
And I was
that.
like watching the arch of like each side, like just nope, okay, now yeah, because you do that in your mind, right? You're always like, good thought, oh shitty thought, good thought, shitty thought, and now like I was just the observer of those things going back and forth.
I
It was
love
pretty cool.
it.
Yeah.
This makes me so excited. It does. This is my favorite thing. Like I want to patent this because, and I honestly, therapists, all of you who are therapists, this is so good to work with clients who are a little bit used to some sort of guided meditation and imagery. Well, I mean, you don't have to, but, and clients that are open to energy talk, of course, but it's my favorite thing. I feel like this is such a good way to implement the balancing of all of our stuff. It's the yin yang. It quite literally is. We're that space between the yin and the yang. Anyone else want to share? And I want you to include, like, if you're like, yeah, I didn't get it. Like, if any of you are like, yeah, I didn't really get it. I didn't really like it, or that wasn't good. Sometimes it just won't be good, just like any other meditation. If you're just like, yeah, it was unremarkable, try it again. This would be definitely one to go into your portal and try again when you can. And it's fairly short. I think it was 25 minutes from the beginning of the meditation piece to the end. So if you clip it down, you could do this one on a lunch break. Anyone else want to share? Yeah, Christine. Yes.
I had a lot of the same images. I had a disappointment on the right side, and it was like brown clay. And I wrote it down as soon as we got done because I didn't want to forget the words and the sensations. But it was like brown clay, and I just kept trying to get it to stick together, and it was sticking to my hands. And I was like I couldn't get it off my hands. And then the other side was awareness, and it was a purple crystal ball. And I had the slinky too. I was like, I can't get rid of this, but this felt so like this was heavy, but this felt heavy because I couldn't get it off of me. So it was doing the same thing. Like this was positive, but the weight was heavy. And this was negative, but it felt heavy because I couldn't get rid of it. And then when I got to the middle, I think the word I had was acceptance.
Mm.
Like trying not to, like being aware of what was disappointing me, people basically. And like being aware of what about them, like, and then accepting like that's who that's them and it's on them. And I just got to the middle, and I actually touched my fingertips together because the energy was so, and then I wasn't watching, and I just felt my fingers like touching each other, and then I was like, and then I got there, and then I was able to come back out of it. So but yeah, but I had purple and then that brown clay that just it wouldn't come off my hands. So when you guys were talking about the tar and the coal, I was like, yeah, I couldn't get it off my hands. It was like, ugh.
Totally. How many of you did have like some sort of sticky, sludgy? You can keep yourself off mute, but sticky, sludgy, a sensation of like blah in the one hand, in the unfavorable hand. It's amazing, right? Because I didn't tell you to do that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't say like imagine it sticky or sludgy or dirty or I didn't, but that just shows you that's how energy presents. Because how do we have a very similar experience? Now, some of you might have sharp, some of you might have like razor blades, prickly, heavy like lead, but nobody had the unfavorable word as like light and airy and iridescent, which is so cool. Why? Why is that? Well, because energy is energy and it doesn't lie. This is what it is. It's sludgy and sticky and clayey and won't get off me. And that's what it is. But instead, we as humans, we create all these words and scenarios and stories about, well, this is why I don't want to do that because of the when it's sort of all we need to do is really identify, all right, what is the energy this is making me feel? If it's sticky and sludgy, it's a no. That's it. I mean, like, but we don't do that as humans. Well, if I do this and I go that, but what if I hurt their feelings? But what if no, it's sticky and sludgy. That's it. That's my information. It can be helpful. It really can be in so many ways. So this one excites the hell out of me. Who was just raising their hand a minute ago? I feel like somebody was just raising their hand, or oh no, maybe Shannon, you were raising your hand for I don't know if it was to share or to relate, but if anyone their cameras are not on, if you want to share, please do. Well, even if your cameras are on, please share.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I was just raising my hand to say that I had like the sticky sludgy thing too, but I really liked this. This was very cool. I could visualize all of the energy coming through. I like visualized it going through my body, like all the meridians and chakras, like a bioluminescence, almost like a very fast, like bright neon. And then in my right hand, I had the word comfort, and it was I visualized it as like a really thick, warm, like chenille blanket, like fuzzy, and like heavy, like weighted, but so soft. And then the left hand was like a thick, sludgy, black tar, sticky, and that word was like unsettled, like dis-ease and unsettled. And when they came together, I just imagined that they each had like almost like a force field around them. So that way, when they came together, they didn't disrupt each other. They
Mhm.
just almost like a bubble, almost like I think Jen said something about like a bubble, like split. So it was like a force field or like a bubble, transparent. So they couldn't really disrupt each other, but they touched. And then I just envisioned myself in this like microscopic space between, and it was just white. Like
Mm.
I was almost like in like a white room, or just like everything was white. There was nothing else to see. And I really felt nothing. It was like very cool. It's the first time I'd ever like actually felt that idea of the nothing in that space. I really liked it.
Oh, I love it. This is so exciting to me. And that's what people, when people are meditating, I mean, everyone's looking for that. Everyone's looking for 0 point in meditation, event, all sorts of meditations. Everyone thinks like empty your mind. Well, the mind doesn't empty easily, except if you do this. This is a quicker emptying. Boom. All right. Oof. I'm here. I'm here. This will help also when we talk about like being present, being here right now, because 0 point is boom. I'm just here. Like you said, Jill, like matter of fact, it's kind of boring. I'll use the word boring sometimes. Like it's sort of like that. Yeah, nothing is rattling me. Nothing's shooting me off with rockets and exciting me. It's like, but it's good. It's a good boring. Just this is what it is.
It kind of felt like a like the ocean, like really big and open and calm, just and like endless, right? So like it doesn't have any like beginning or end, and it's just there and calm. That's kind of what it felt like.
I love it. That's a great, that's space. That's what that expansive. I don't have to make it anything, but yet everything's possible. So I don't have to do either one. It's just, I think it's a very relieving technique. Love it. Love it. Love it. Therapists, please share this because I want this. Honestly, I want this to be my work. Like really teaching this very technique. And there's so many layers. We could do so many different things offshoot of it, but I would love to teach therapist teachers. You can do this without even the energy component. You can say, pick a color, any 2 colors to your students. You don't even have to make it like spiritual. Pick a color between the, and go to the place where neither one exists. And that helps them find their center. So it could be pick 2 subjects and go to the place where neither one exists. They'll end up in the lunchroom or gym, but right. So the possibilities are endless, but I think it's just a really good, tangible practice of, presence.
Is there anything to the side? Because it sounded like most people that mentioned it, the kind of positive thing was on the right, and then the other was the left. It's like right-handed people. I mean, is there anything to that?
There might be. It's funny because tonight my favorite was going to my left hand, and I was pausing of like, that's funny. And I kept wanting it to go to the right, but I'm like, Deb, just let it go to the left. But it normally goes to the right for me as well. So I don't know what that is. I mean, energetically, we could go into the left is a receiving energy field, the right is a giving energy field. That's how energy comes into the body, in through the left, out through the right. So could that be a part of it? Possibly. Could it be the spin of your different energy field and your chakras? Could be. But I don't think there's like could it be, because even tonight when I heard everyone say the right too, I was like, yeah, normally it's my right. And I was curious if anyone was left-handed and it went into their left, but I'm not left-handed and it went into my left. Oh, Jill, Jill one, you're left-handed?
No, I'm actually right-handed, but it actually did go into my left hand. And I was like, why are you going into my left hand? I'm right-handed. And it would not go to the right. It's like, I'm flowing into your left, and that's where I'm gonna be. So you're gonna have to deal with it tonight.
That's right.
And I'm like, okay. And it was mercy. I had mercy in my left hand, and it was soft, and it was kind of like an egg, but it had that silky feeling like the silk on the old blankets when you were a child, the baby blankets that have the silk on the top for the baby. Yeah. And then on the right hand side, which is my dominant side, it was disbelief, and it was coarse and rough like sandpaper.
Yep.
And then when I brought them together, I enjoyed like bringing them together and melding them together and letting them come together and get to that one space. And I zoned out. I don't know where I went. And then I believe, I don't know if this happened or not, but I believe you said go or see your ascended masters or see your family members or see your ancestors. I saw this beautiful white angelic being. It was a female, and she just put her arms around me and comforted me, and then brought me gently back to center.
I forgot that we had that whole piece. That's not normally part of 0 point, the master part. So that's when I was like, oh, I am channeling right now, because that's not part of it. Not ever. But I was like, oh, I like this. All right, we'll do it. But I forgot about that part. I mean, none of us ever talked about that. Very good. Oh, I love it. It's very cool. But yeah, I had the left, right. And
Thank you. It really energizes me.
good. Oh, so that it energizes me to hear if it energizes all of you. It's the little things. Well, these aren't little. These are big things, I think. Mercy and disbelief. Those are good. Those are pretty spot on energies for you. Yep. Yep. Yay me.
Yay. Woo! Woohoo!
Oh, Lord. We're a sorted bunch, as they say. Anyone else who didn't share wants to share before we log off tonight? Anyone feel not complete with your experience? Even if it's like, yeah, I didn't like this one. It's even though you're hearing a lot of people say I liked it, it's still valuable, really valuable to hear if you're like, yeah, no, didn't like it, hate it, didn't get anything, mind was in chatter. No. Very interesting. Go ahead, Jen. And then Jill.
I just have a question from like an energy standpoint, right? So we were doing this exercise where we had more like positive flow in one hand. Should we like do something to clear that other side? You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, but the 0 point itself is the clearing, because it's
I'm like,
because both
I feel like I want to like go like this.
Oh, then do that.
Kind of like just like move all the crap, just like let it, you know, like you were saying, it goes like, I don't know.
Well, do it if you do feel like, remember I taught Reiki how many years ago now, and I'm teaching again December 9th, you guys, but
I'll be there.
I will teach people like, yeah, shake it off. Like if you are
Yeah,
or
just
pull
feel like I have
energy,
to.
you know, we'll get to that in the first hour of Reiki. But yeah, so do it if you feel like, oh, I need to do it. But the 0 point energy, because we live in a world of duality and because we're in physical form, all of that stuff is existing within us.
Right.
So it's not that we can't get it to go away. We don't want it to go away. We don't need it to go away. We just need it to not lead our lives and not be get all of our attention. So we can 0 point so that it's, oh, the wholeness of myself, the yin to my yang is here. So we're all taught like negativity is bad or these unfavorable feelings are bad, but it's like, no, it's just part of the spectrum. It's the ones that are unfavorable. We don't like it. So no, the balancing comes from the 0 point place. And anytime you feel like, oh no, there's energy on me, get it off, then do whatever you feel like you need to do to get it off.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do, my kids will still ask me, and they're grown men now, take the yuckies out. I used to grab their arms, their legs, their head, and I'd say, well, we're taking all the negative thoughts, we're taking all the negative energy out, and they'll still, at 22 years old, Mom, just take the yuckies out. So you can pull it out, you can shake it out, you know, there's different ways to do it. You ring a bell or a singing bowl to vibrate it out of your energy field. music vibrates it out? Good question. Now, Jill, you were going to say something.
Yeah, just I'm thinking over the last several weeks that, and it's been about a year since I joined this group. Thank you, everybody. That what I'm I'm visualizing and imagining so much more clearly than I ever have. It's always been difficult to access that. I've been able to feel physical feelings very easily, but seeing things, imagine this, imagine that, and I'd be struggling. And now things just pop into my visual field really quickly. So thank you. I really appreciate that change.
Oh, I love to hear that. And that's the balancing of self too. When we
What do you
can't
mean?
visualize, sorry, go ahead.
No, what do you mean? What is that?
When we can't visualize, it usually means we're like so blocked in an area when we can't see, and I don't see anything. So when we use the word when we see it, it's like not that I'm seeing anything, it's just I know that I'm seeing. I'm not necessarily seeing form, but everyone's different in that way. Some people actually see things. So if we can't do that, it's usually like a kind of a block or just a muscle that hasn't been exercised. When we can visualize and feel, imagine and feel, that we're a bit more balanced, if that makes sense. Because
Yes.
over feeling is tough, because that means we're going to pull in all feelings versus the visual too. Like visuals kind of puts a balance to the emotional feeling, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I love it. And it is forms a lot of the time, which, hey, even better. I'll take it.
Totally. Yep. And just using the word imagine is that it's that gateway from the one brain, that logical, analytical, concrete, black and white mind that we all have. And saying imagine, it's like a little walkway. That's how I visualize it. The corpus callosum bringing the two sides of the brain together. I always visualize like a little bridge going from my logical brain into my intuitive brain. And the intuitive brain is like no form is there. It's all creative. It's whatever. It's go with the flow. And the imagination is the bridge between the two, because the moment you tell the logical mind, hey, we're just pretending, the logical mind is like, oh, cool, you could do that. And then the intuitive self is like, haha, we hacked you. This is real, but you won't let me believe that it's real. So I use the word imagine and we trick the logical mind. It quite literally is a trick.
A trick. Yeah. And just in time for intuition class.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. This is a good one to do before tomorrow night. So on that note, I'll see everyone. Thank you all tonight. This one really lights me up. So I'm glad it's mostly receptive from what I heard.
I feel like you gave us the key to life today.
I literally feel that it is, though. Like I literally feel like, oh my God, this one technique is so doable for all humans. It's not about religion. It's not about even belief systems. We can take away the energy piece and we can make it more concrete if we needed to. I could take this to a boardroom. I can take this to meditate. You know what I mean? It could fit anywhere. And it's a simple tool to just get fucking present. It's my
standing
thing.
ovation. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah, the boardroom get fucking present. Yeah.
Exactly. Boardrooms, our nations in the world, our nations. Like, yeah, there's a lot of places that could really benefit from our school boards, our hospital boards. This would be amazing to implement a tool. So
You just have to be willing.
Willing.
We're the willing people.
Totally. I know. That is a good point.
That's a little hook there.
Right.
You could also add the psychedelic drugs we were talking about this morning.
Throw a little microdose and ayahuasca in there.
What did we miss? You pass around psychedelic mini doses in the morning, but not in the evening.
pass them around in the morning? Oh, yes, we passed around the psychedelics this morning in chat. Sunday morning, bright and early.
Yes.
Maybe we'll revisit it. We talked about ayahuasca this morning. I'm going to put it up in the portal, so if anyone wants to take
Oh,
snippets and
my
watch-
hero, Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons, did a whole interview about ayahuasca. It helped him get over his depression.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
learned a lot this morning.
Yeah, we learned a lot this morning. I am going to be doing ayahuasca at some point, but probably after school because I am afraid my brain's going to blow up. So I have to wait until school. But I am totally doing it, and I'm terrified of these things, but I know it's right, or I know it will be right. So more on that later on the great world of plant medicine. But everyone have a great week. I'll see some of you tomorrow night. I have 2 galleries locally this week, one in Newburgh and one in Middletown, in case anybody knows anyone in those areas. And yeah, that's it. And I'll see you next Sunday. So don't forget
Good
to
night, everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night, everybody. Good week.
Good night, everyone.
Please,
Bye.
bye. Go to my warm bed.
good. Enjoy. I hope you sleep well.